I'm Robert with Knowmium, and we're taking a look at basic Zoom meeting options and the different tools that you see on the screen. I have a lot of tools in my toolbar at the bottom because I like to leave those on for my meetings, giving me the most flexibility if something changes and I want to use some of those features. If you have participants or meetings that don't need all of those features, you can turn some of those off in your account settings and your meeting settings. We cover those settings in another video. As we take a look at the screen, we'll go from left to right and take a look at what these different options do. Mute mutes us, and it's a great thing to do when we're not speaking, so we don't have any background noise distracting the meeting. Next to mute, we have our audio options. I can select a microphone, select a speaker, I can test my equipment, and I can change other audio settings. And the same thing with the video options. Next to the video feature, I can change my camera, I can choose a virtual background, and I can view other video settings. We do cover virtual backgrounds in another video. Also, for these audio and video and virtual background options, if I have my Zoom desktop app, I can go to those preferences and I can find a lot of the options there as well. For meeting security, I may want to lock the meeting so no more people can come in, or I might want to enable the waiting room, which I usually have as default, so I let people in the meeting whenever I'm ready to have them there. This is especially important if I have an important discussion or an activity, and having people come in during the middle might be a distraction. I do allow people to share their screen, to chat with each other, and to rename themselves. But if I feel like I don't trust my participants, or I just have a lot of participants and I don't want people changing things around, I can disable those anytime I want. The participants box has a lot of functions. As we open this, we can see the host, we can see any guest we have, and I can see if people are using their microphone, if people are using their video. This also gives me some options for chatting directly with guests, stopping guest video, making them a host or co-host, giving them a lot of options and controls over the meeting. I can assign them to type closed captions over the meeting, and I can allow them to record. I can rename them myself if I want to rename guest number one to something else. And I can put them in the waiting room or even remove them from the meeting entirely. Be aware there is an option in Zoom that if people have left the meeting, they cannot rejoin. Or if you've removed them, they cannot rejoin. So make sure you check those settings before you start forcing people out of your Zoom meeting room. Also, we have some wonderful emojis and some instant reactions here. If I want to do a quick poll, I can ask all of my participants, go to the participants box, and if you think we need a break right now, click yes, and everybody will have their icon show up next to their name. Go choose no, they can tell me to go slower, go faster, and there's lots of other features they might want to use. I can clear all of those as well as the host. I can invite people to the meeting. I can mute everyone at once. I can unmute everyone at once, and it does give me a lot of other options. Some of these we saw in that security setting. As we move along the bottom toolbar, if we open chat, this is a great place to chat with everyone. It's a great place to chat with specific guests. Just keep in mind, if you're typing something to guest number one, hello guest one, that will be sent privately to that guest. But if there's somebody else who's messaged you and this blue box has changed from guest number one to guest number four, and you hit enter, it will go to that guest. So if I'm typing something to guest number one that is private, be very careful before hitting enter that guest number one is still featured in this box. I like to leave it on everyone just by default, but that's my preference. I can also send files. I can type URLs or any other instructions people need, and there are some other options I have as the host, choosing who participants can chat with. And I like to leave it where they can chat openly, publicly, or privately with everybody, because if I restrict their option to chat with each other, they may find other platforms to use through their phone or other app or device where they go outside of my Zoom meeting and now they're communicating outside the platform, creating possibly a distraction, but also keeping them less focused on what we're doing here in our Zoom meeting. I cover share screen and the different share screen options in a lot of the other videos. Recording is great if you would like to have a record of that meeting or to send that meeting out to your participants. Just be aware of who has control to record and letting everyone know what will happen with that video when we're finished. Closed captions are great if you'd like to allow people to type on the screen. Breakout rooms are covered in another video. And I also have a couple of quick reactions that we can use. Would everyone like a break? Do you agree? Yes or no? And that comes up in our different participant window. A couple of other things you'll see on the screen. We have at the top right-hand corner, we have speaker view, and then we have gallery view. Now, speaker view usually shows who's speaking. In this case, it's me, but since I have another guest, they don't have their video showing themselves. So it's a blank screen, but if they were to start speaking, their box would appear highlighted. And finally, we have end that meeting. Be aware if you're the host and you end the meeting, it's going to kick everybody out. But if you're a co-host or a participant, you should be able to leave and not disrupt the rest of the meeting flow. If you have any questions, as always, we'd love to hear from you.